Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Bow Network. You are watching After I Do, the story of Steffi and Jessy. If you have not caught up on previous episodes, what are you doing? You need to go back and watch our lovely couple. It's a lovely Burundian couple who've been sharing their journey over the last 4 years in marriage, and they have been sharing some amazing gems. So I encourage you to just take a step back and look at previous videos. So if you haven't already done so, I encourage you to subscribe. I'll pause. Hit that subscribe button. Got it? Cool. And like, share with your people. The more the merrier. We want to make authentic conversations about relationships a norm amongst us as Africans. So please do the right thing and share with your people. And also just a shout out to everyone who's been commenting on our videos. We see you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with our lovely couple, Leslie B, Linda, Teresa, Mata. We see you guys. Keep it coming. We'd love to hear what else you'd like to hear from our couple as the weeks go by. So enough about me. I'm going to introduce our gents for the evening. So sorry, I'm Sonia. I'm the founder, by the way, of the Black African Women Network. And today we thought to do a bit of a twist to our show. So you've seen the couple having conversations between themselves, sharing their story with us. And today we thought it would be nice to get a male perspective on marriage and relationships. So Jessy hauled in some of his friends to do that for us. So I'm just going to ask the guys to introduce themselves to you. Jessy, you can take it away.
Okay, great. So my name, Jessy Manege. I am the husband of Steffi. I've just asked a few friends of mine to join me just to have a great introduction and chat about relationships. And that's me.
Yeah, thank you, Jessy. Good to have you here.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Fabio. I also heard, Jessy, I think you're doing a bit of an African Union, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think everyone here is from a different country, which is quite something. So yeah, I'm Fabio from Mozambique. I met Jessy, I think when we were around about 13, 14. We've been friends since then. And I'm also married, hence why I think I'm in this conversation today.
Yeah, nice. Welcome, Fabio.
I think I'll follow that. I mean, Vumile, Lamini, Jessy's friend as well. Pretty much the same as Fabio. Known him since high school, right? 13, 14 there. And yeah, I've been friends since then. And here we're all from different nations here. Who's from South Africa?
It's just you, apparently.
The viewers.
Oh, you mean the viewers? Oh, my bad.
Vumile is actually from Swaziland, huh?
Both.
Yes, Swaziland.
Where am I?
Yeah. Swaziland.
Yeah, I think I also tick 2 boxes, right? The name is Kofi Achampong, of Ghanaian heritage, but born and raised in South Africa. So yeah, when I think about 2 boxes, that's it right there. Known Jessy since, when was it? Probably 2012, 2013, somewhere there. But it's honestly felt like a lifetime. And yeah, I think I am one of the odd ones out here. I'm not married, so I think I bring a bit of a different perspective. But yeah, Jessy, since the last time we spoke, which is kind of embarrassing to find out this way, but that status has kind of changed, but not the married one. But we'll get into that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for those intros. So let's get into the juice. Let's get into the meat, guys. So the only rules, be honest. Let's just be as candid as possible. No judgment. It's a no judgment zone. So we're basically trying to just understand the perceptions of relationships and marriage versus the reality, right? Because it's conversations that we rarely have, especially as Africans. So it's something that we're trying to normalize. And the first question I have for you guys is, okay, well, starting with I suppose, the married gents, did you want to get married? So there's this whole thing that women want to get married from like the time they're little girls, they've already planned their wedding. And then there's this whole notion that gents, it's a bit of a touch and go. So I'm really keen to understand, did you want to get married? Whoever's answer, please go ahead.
Vumile, as the last one to get married out of all of us, I think you should start. I'll let you go first. Yeah, as the last one to get married. That's the
thanks,
disadvantage.
Fabio. I appreciate this so much. From my side, getting married was something I've always wanted to do. I mean, we raised from like our cultures, African background and stuff, that you must grow up, go to school, do this, and getting married, having kids is part of the journey. But like you're saying, as gents, like now I'm bringing it back to myself, as much as I wanted to get married, there was that part where I felt like I didn't have to get married, or I don't want to get married because of the pressure of myself, society as well. Especially because, I mean, I think as guys, we do want to get married, but because we know we're not perfect people, you're afraid to like mess up in marriage. So then why do something whereby you feel like you could really mess up? So I think that's the only thing that was really holding me back in terms of getting married. But hey, I'm married now.
Here you are. That's really interesting. I've actually never really heard it that way, that you're sort of afraid to mess up, so you're like, why even get started? Thank you for
Vumile, I mean, that actually hits something with me as well, because I think, so in my case, when I finished high school, my parents got divorced, and it was kind of like a time in my life where I think like you're finishing from like the world as you know, as school and your friends, to the wide world now, right? Like I moved to a different city, was somewhere where I didn't know anyone, and I started to really get to know who I am rather than who I am in an environment. And I think for me, all of that together with my parents being divorced really twisted my image of marriage. Like if you asked me 10 years ago, I would have said, no, I don't want to get married. Like, why? It's this like social obligation, and you do it just because others want you to do it. It's not for you. You always hear like when you get married, it's for the families, it's not for you. Essentially, I connected with all the negative reasons of marriage and all the negative associations to marriage. And this idea that you're being forced to be with someone, but you guys can grow separate, can grow different. So I had a very different look, and I was like, I'm never going to get married. And then you think that, and some people, that's what's for them. But then I met the person who I'm married to now. And my mind immediately changed, over time. But like one day I like woke up and I just knew I wanted to marry her. I was like, no, I want to do this. And ever since we did, I think we married now 3 years. I'm happy, man. Like, it's cool.
Nice.
So I'm glad I made that jump.
Yeah, actually, I'm actually interested to know, thank you for bringing up how long you've been married. I actually wanted to know if you guys can just let us know how long you've been married, and also I'd be interested to know your ages, just for context, if you don't mind. Fabio, you've been married for 3 years, and how old are you?
31, I think. I don't even know my age anymore. We're in 2021, right?
Yes.
2021.
You're 31, Fabio.
31. My birthday's in May, so I don't know. It's coming, guys. 32. I don't even. Every day, every month, it's all becoming the same to me right now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So almost 32. Vumile?
Yeah. I'm 32. I think Jessy and myself are literally like months apart.
Okay.
And I've been married for about 2 years and 2 months on Friday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Brand new.
Well, I've known her for over 10 years, been together for very long. So it's brand new in terms of marriage, but in terms of being together, we've been together for, I think, almost half my life.
Wow. Sure.
Yeah. Vumile, you guys actually started dating 2007, by the way. 2007, I was there.
I feel like Fabio has all the dockets on everybody.
I'll hide that.
Yeah. On my side, it is 32, turning 33 this year, and 4 years going for our 5th year in December.
Okay, yeah. All right. And Kofi still single. How old are you, Kofi?
Single, 29. Well, not single.
Well,
not
dating.
Married, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But Jessy, listen. I mean, I can't have certain people watching this and like, oh, you're not claiming me in the street. I don't want that. Jessy, I think you sort of jumped over that question on whether you wanted to get married or not before you got married. So let's just have you answer that before I jump in with my perspective.
Hey, okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay, on my side, I think I've gone through a very different journey. From a very, very young age, there was a mixture of what I had seen my parents doing in terms of their relationship. So both my parents married, very strong relationship, and which in our eyes embodied what a dad needs to be, what a mom needs to be. So I used to be the kind of guy who used to continuously be telling everyone at school, from high school, that marriage is the only way, and I think that social norm into I was from a Catholic family. We were, the church was everything, and from that I went into like an Anglican high school, which I then fell into and I enjoyed and I embraced, and I just felt like the only way forward is marriage. But it's only when I got married that I started questioning everything. Yeah, so it's like how Fabio was like questioning things only that after the parents divorced.
Yeah,
I started questioning everything after I got married, and I realized that I had ticked everything that society had told me that I should do, and religion told me that I should do, and I was just sitting there and I'm like, and then now, like, then what? And I think the then what is what led me into going into like a rabbit hole where I used to like ask myself and ask my wife very difficult questions.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
can I just jump in on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, can I just jump in on that quickly? Before I got married, I went with Jessy back in the rural areas and stuff, and we were meeting with the elders and stuff. And what he's talking about is what they asked me. So in our culture, you go, you tell the elders, you want to get married. This is the lady, she's from this area and everything, so that they can spread throughout the family, and you make arrangements. So one of the elders, Jessy, was there, and what he's saying is true. He asked me, he was like, okay, so you want to get married, what do you want to do with the wife? And yeah, till this day, it's a difficult question to answer, because I mean, if you want to have kids, you can have kids without getting married. If you can pretty much do anything. You don't have to actually get married. The way we're brought up, we want to. Yeah. These are people around us, our family and everything. So you think getting married is what you should do, which is where Jessy, I think, it did what coming from. Everyone else wanted, to do, but what was marriage for him? Why did he want it?
I like that.
And there's one thing that I just want to add to what Vumile was saying. So I think Vumile also must give us the context. He's from the Dlamini family in Swaziland.
Okay.
So I think that's the part that you missed out. That is quite crucial. Because when I was with him, what they were telling me was shocking. Was like news to my ears.
Let me explain my.
Not much explaining.
The juice begins. But
yeah.
I mean, Kofi hasn't spoken yet.
Jason spoke about his parents, and Fabio spoke about his parents. I didn't talk about my parents. So, my Dlamini boy, was he kind of like raised? so my dad had multiple wives. I come from that type of family. I've got like 13 siblings, or 13 maybe, I'm not sure, because they're just coming out of the woodworks every now and then. Met my sister about 2 years ago, and I'm like 32 now, so one of my sisters just so I come from culturally, back in Swaziland you can have multiple wives, but what has happened lately is people don't actually really get married. They get married traditionally, not like the Western way, and you'll end up having multiple partners, I guess. And in my family, that's like the norm. So when I wanted to get married, the reason why they were asking me what am I going to do with a wife was because everyone else tried this whole Western way of getting married, and it kind of didn't work out because everyone has multiple partners. So they were pretty much saying, listen, you don't have to get married, just get your partner and continue life.
Yeah, sure. And I actually want to pick up on that a bit later, but Kofi,
yes,
do you want to get married, brother?
I can see Jessy's quite excited. For me, marriage has always been on the cards, right? I think a couple of things that, Jess has touched on, but, one, seeing how, the type of bond my parents shared, and, looking at, I guess, where things also fell short, and looking at it from my perspective and being like, I can see why I would want a life partner. I can see why I'd like to, have a family of my own with a single individual. And I think for me, that's always been the goal, So short and sweet, that's my outlook. Yeah.
Nice. And I find it so interesting, guys, like hearing your ages. And there's a reason I asked. I always have this conversation with my girlfriends. So I'm 35. And so that's like the group of women I sort of hang with, and I'm still single. And we always have this conversation that it seems like guys like my brother's age, younger guys, are more interested or more open to things like marriage or settling down. Whereas if we look at guys our age, like when you're dating, guys our age, there's this thing that like they almost don't want to settle down. And if they're older, they've divorced and they don't necessarily want to go back and settle down. So that's why I sort of asked this question, because it's very interesting to me how the different generations sort of view marriage and have sort of decided whether it's something that they want or not. So it's just to get into my next question, touching on what Vumile said just now. I'm really interested to know what you sort of saw, and I think you've all sort of touched on it, because there's reasons why you've mentioned the reasons why you wanted to get married, or why you do want to get married. But let's get a bit more practical. Like I think Kofi sort of mentioned how he saw his parents. I'm really keen to understand why, like what you saw growing up, or maybe even at a later stage in your life, or conversation that you might have had that sort of said to you, you know what, let me give this marriage thing a go. Anybody?
You gents,
men are stumped here.
You guys gotta go first, because mine will be like a negative seeing, So let's start with the positive. Kofi and Vumile.
So mine is a little balanced, right? Mine is balanced where my parents were together, right? That's what I grew up seeing. That is the environment. However, they lived apart, right? Because of work, etc. So I saw that impact, and the impact that has on a household and growing up. Experiencing that, it does have a certain impact on how you'd want your family structure to be, right? For me, I've always wanted, a close-knit family unit, right? And that also, has dictated my choice in partner. So I think for me, it's been that, but then I think I also have been sort of disillusioned, and I think it goes back to the point that you're making as to why, men at an older age, are reluctant to step into marriage. It's all about, why, right?
Yeah.
And why is crucial. right? And for me, I mean, I've hit a point where, you know, I have an understanding of what I want in a partner and the characteristics that gel, right? Obviously, it's not a rosy picture all the time, but I think there's certain aspects of a relationship and just needing someone who will always be in your corner, not always, but you know, someone who will be in your corner more often than not. Yeah, that for me is something crucial. I mean, this life thing, you know, not to blow my own horn, but I've done pretty well for myself up until this point. And I mean, I can't see, you know, this being the epitome of what life should be. You know, there has to be someone to share all of this with. You know? And that is the next frontier for me. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, Kofi, not to just be contrarian, but I guess to also represent a lot of the guys that I know, and also how I did think prior to getting married, to bring in like all I feel like as guys, you really do grow up, even our generation ends up growing up listening to the older generation telling us all the bad about marriage, right? So I feel like uncles, older cousins, etc., it's this almost idea, like when you want to get married, they almost look at you like, you want to get locked down. You know what I mean? This like, it's almost like you are willing going to prison, you know? And
sure.
Especially, I guess, since it was like prior to like men even adopting feminist thoughts, you know, I guess we didn't see a lot of the reasons why marriage would actually bring security to the woman that's actually needed, you know. But like in my family, like the men wanted to be the ones working, you know, like my dad's side at least, you know, wanted to be the ones working, and then the woman provides and she stays at home and they get married. But for them, the marriage is just for her and her security. So for them, it's a jail. You know what I mean? And that definitely did not stop them. Like everyone had, it wasn't as official as Swaziland traditional, we can have multiple wives, but people had many relationships in and outside. I mean, part of the reason my parents got divorced is because my dad throughout had various relationships. And then there was a final one that was just like the last nail for my mother. And then actually he ended up remarrying and marrying the person that he was cheating on my mom with. So like, yeah, at least it was for true love, I guess. Let's hope. So then, yeah, you know, when you think of marriage and you grow up hearing all those, as a guy, you do think like, why should I do it? Like, what's in it for me? You know?
And what changed it for you? Because like you said, then you met the person that you're married to. What was there a specific moment? Was there a specific thing, or you know, was it a person?
I do think it's a life stage thing as well. I think like when you're a young guy, well, in my generation, I think the younger generation, as you said, is probably a lot more clued up. There is a time where you're like, no, I want to be single. I just want to go out. I don't want to see people. But I think after a while, you end up getting a bit like feeling empty, right? Like, what's next? I need someone who's going to be there for me, a best friend, a partner, someone who's going to support me, someone who I'm going to share my life with. I do think like some of those thoughts do start to enter your mind and you want to settle down. You know, I don't see it as a bad thing. But I think also when you meet the right person, it doesn't matter. It's not a rational. I still don't think marriage is a rational decision as much as it is an emotional decision that you then post-rationalize. Do you know what I mean? Like you want to do it because you love the person, hopefully. There might be different reasons. There's other ways of getting married, but, you know, and then you end up justifying to yourself why after.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I think. Yeah.
I like that. No decision.
So before Vumile says anything, I've got something to say because I think it's going to aid Vumile in somehow, some way. So with me, the aha moment happened when I got to that realization that I'm not good at dating. Like I was super good at relationships, like friendships around me. But when it comes to dating and actually sustaining a love relationship, I was so bad at it. That's the first thing. And second thing, contrary to what Kofi was saying, I lacked independence. So I literally went into thinking that I want to get married because I saw a person that's not going to almost walk away from you easily. That's the first thing. Second thing, a person that's going to help you to build something together. Because I sometimes think that I doubted my capacity to build something alone.
Okay. Yeah. So you'd have a partner to build with. Like that. Okay. Really? You've been assisted.
I still don't know how, but I mean, I guess maybe giving me time to think. I don't know. First and foremost, I mean, you asked about the age thing in terms of the older guys, people getting divorced, and the younger guys are ready to get married. I mean, Fabio touched on it a little bit. With our uncles and older people, normally they're going through a phase whereby they're like, this is like prison type of thing. With our generation, so we grow up, I mean, for myself, as a man in the African culture and everything, you're supposed to provide, you're supposed to be a stable person and all of the stuff. So for people our age, we grew up being told, like, listen, before you get married, you need to have your ducks in a row. And that hinders us from getting married at a young age, or hinders us from getting married when you know you don't have everything in order.
Okay.
So I think we are more or less in the middle of the microwave, the quick fix type of thing. The younger generation still has hope that, listen, I can make it tomorrow. Let me get married first and we can do this together.
Sure.
You know, tomorrow could be a completely different story. We stuck between, we can quickly make it, maybe, but at the same time, we know we can see our parents where they are. So get ready, get set, make sure you've got everything in order before you can jump into that. That just has to do with the ages, I think, you know.
Yeah.
And then for myself, getting married, besides having a partner, a companion, someone you can share things with, it's respecting my wife, it's respecting the family. So I got married to her because, like my elders were saying, listen, you can do all of the stuff, you don't have to get married, but I need to pay respect to her parents for raising her by paying lobola and all of that, and I need to respect her as a woman and give her that status in my life to show her that she is an important person in my life. So those are the things that, like, I find really valuable as to why I would do the whole process of getting married.
Yeah.
Just to respect and give dignity to my half.
Yeah, that is so profound. I've actually never heard it that way. And I think, you know, listening to you guys, your realizations were different. But the common thread I'm picking up on is something that Jessy loves talking about, which is self-awareness. So looking at yourself and saying, okay, where am I? Who am I? What do I need? Where am I going? Type of thing. And making a decision based off of that is a theme I'm sort of picking up on. Like everything you guys said, there were different things that I'm like, okay, you know, very profound thoughts. Thank you for sharing. Kofi, if you want to add on to?
Yeah, no, I think, you know, as the gents were speaking, I could actually relate to, you know, the stages that I went through myself, you know, being, you know, the young kid on the block, you know, enjoying the single life. And then you get to a point where you're like, you know, I've lived that life, you know, I think personally I've enjoyed it, you know, to the max. It no longer serves me, right? And then, you know, you move on to the next stage, which I think Vumile touched on as well, which is to say, yes, I think I'm ready, but I don't have, you know, all my ducks in the row, you know. So I have to make sure that is set before I can unlock that next phase of life, to say that, okay, sure, I have a foundation to build a home on. And I think it's not something that's really communicated outright amongst gents. You sort of just find your way through it, you know. And And I mean, gents that are stuck in that are stuck in marriages, there's always that the grass is green on the other side type of outlook to say, man, life was great when I was single. But I can tell you that that only lasts for a certain period of time, and after that it's like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's always looking over the fence, and
Yeah.
There's a J. Cole song that just says "Love Yours," man, and that's it, man. That's it at the end of the day. I think that's all encompassing. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you for that, Kofi. And that really takes us to the next thought I'd like to hear from you guys, which is, now that you're married, those that are married, what have been some of the shockers to you when it comes to like the opposite sex in marriage versus before? They say, I don't know, they say that even if you live together, however long you've been together, when you're married, it changes. The relationship dynamic shifts. And I'm just really interested to know, what are some things that you getting into marriage, you're like, I did not expect that, or where did that come from when it comes to the opposite sex, or just in general?
Jessy, you've been married the longest, huh? You want to start?
I'm just here taking notes. I'm taking notes, man.
No, and I think with Kofi, I think it's going to relate to the relationship. There's a before and there's an after relationship.
Yes.
So on my side, I think what I can give was, I used to always, and I think both Vumile and Fabio know this about me. I used to always be extremely aware of my surroundings. I used to be extremely aware in terms of, how I'm dressed, how I look, how I act. So I used to do things that tried to control my environment, because I wanted to give the people that were in front of me, which in most cases were like ladies, that impression that I was a great person, I was a great guy, and I was worth getting to know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I tried to do that at the beginning of our relationship with my wife, but I was lucky enough to have icebreakers very early in our relationship that allowed us to, relax and start understanding who Jessy really is. The small, white lies that Jessy throws in once in a while. She started realizing those things, and she started realizing how, I'm very peculiar about things. So when we got married, the shocker was how we just released everything. Just from the way we speak to each other, to the way we act around each other, to the way we just do life.
Yeah.
We have loosened all the muscles that used to be tense. And sometimes it's a good thing, and sometimes it's a shocker, just seeing how free we are.
Oh.
But I think that for me has been a shocker in terms of Jessy being that, put together and everything has to be perfect, to Jessy now just living.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah, Jessy, actually, that makes me think of the thing that I am shocked about marriage, but in a positive way. Essentially, was seeing my wife and her transformation. Because you get married, a person you've been dating, like we've been dating for years and years, But when we got married, to see her change and how she's been growing in terms of what she loves, who she is, how she dresses, how she talks, what she wants to do. People change, through time. And for me, I think that's been the biggest surprise, but it's actually been a positive surprise. because like if you hear people talk like you get married, it's the same thing. People say like really crude stuff like you get married, you're just gonna have sex with the same person, you're gonna get bored, like all this stuff. But actually for me, being married, the positive surprise has been how that person transforms and seeing her change every day. That's like pretty cool. That's I think the cool thing about getting married. Yeah,
that's a great perspective. So essentially it's versus saying I'm gonna get bored because it's the same person, it's like, wow, I'm learning so many different facets to this individual. I like that. Yeah.
I think I'm the last one who's married. Yeah, that's to speak. Well, so for myself, I mean, dating, like they've said, we've been together for the longest of times. We've had our ups and downs. We're just actually talking today, and I was actually thanking her for actually like being married to me, you know, to agree to that, because I'm not an easy person to live with. Jessy and Fabio can, they can attest to that. Yeah.
How do you mean, man? You're great. It's fine.
Sometimes. So yeah, I mean, like what Fabio said, I mean, the change once we got married was amazing for me. It's been positive since we've been married. She's become a stronger woman, more independent than I ever thought she'd ever be, which I'm like so grateful for that, because initially I thought like, listen, you need to get your act together, girl. We're married now, let's get serious with life, you know, type of thing. But it just automatically happened on its own, and I'm grateful for that. We do change depending on the circumstances. Like right now we're expecting and stuff, so things have changed again, new dynamics. I don't know, like growth in this whole thing it's the best part of it. It's the best part of it. Yeah.
I like that. Sure. All right, and congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Kofi.
Where do I start? Man. So I think, you know, as I've mentioned a couple of times, you know, I've been out there, you know, living, you know, a certain life as a relatively single individual, and you know, I think stepping into a relationship with so much potential as the one that I'm in right now, I think the key highlights for me, and I think it's from a general sort of male perspective, is to say, you know, when you're out and about, there's that thing of, you know, as a man, you have to be stepping into this role, right, that has been defined, that a man is X, Y, Z, and you basically have to be a Superman, you have to be perfect. But what surprised me was the actual healing that has come from within this relationship, right?
Wow.
So many past traumas that I've been able to, you know, sort of find my way towards, or start the journey of healing through this very intimate relationship, right? Things, and I think for me that's been the biggest thing, because you're taught, you know, you can't be soft, right? Otherwise you'll be judged for it. It'll be used as ammunition against you. But I think just being in a safe space where one is able to drop their guard, and, you know, if rarely being thrown back in your face, is one that, you know, I'm very appreciative of, and actually came as a shock, because you're out there, you know, as I mentioned, you're trying to put things together, you know, because obviously you're talking about setting the right foundation, and you just become so numb to it all that when you step in and you meet someone you actually, you know, you gel with on that level, I think all those walls start to break down, and there's an unraveling of that old school type of thinking. So yeah, that has been me over the past couple.
Nice. And I think, like, just from all of you guys, what I'm getting is, you know, that saying, when the student is ready, the master will appear. And I'm going to say your wives are the masters. Please get me wrong.
Maybe they are. Maybe they are. Yeah.
But it's also, you know, reciprocal.
There's no maybes there. There's no maybes there.
Good. Okay. Because I was going to say it's reciprocal. You know, they can say the same thing. And essentially, you guys were ready to step into, you know, a higher version of yourselves as well. And, you know, you met people who were also walking that path, it sounds like. And it's beautiful. Thank you guys for sharing. But our time is almost up. And just to close off, I think it would be nice if each of you could just give your parting shots, and very brief, to for the married gents, the guys who are not yet married, you know, maybe from whatever angle, maybe someone who's on the fence about it, or maybe someone who, you know, is thinking about it, wants to, or whatever. Just being on the other side, your parting shots around marriage. And Kofi, same thing, you know, your parting thoughts around entering a relationship, or questions you might have for the married guys, you know. So yeah, just very quickly, if you can just let our audience know.
Kofi, can you lead?
Yeah, lead with the questions whilst we think.
I have no problem taking the lead. But what I will say is, before I jump into the question, I think for me, the biggest thing is, you know, if there's anyone that's in, you know, a similar position to myself, or rather more muddled up than I am in terms of whether they want to get married or not, I think it's about answering the questions and, you know, to yourself, you know, what is it that you really want out of this life? Not what the old gents have told you, not what, you know, your parents' vision for your life is, but what you truly want. And it might be marriage, it might not. And, you know, either way, it's okay, right? But yeah, I think for me, a question to the gents, I think, you know, it's always been a sort of narrative that's been sold that as a man, you know, you're supposed to take on a partner who's supposed to support you. But how do you handle that sort of transition where you also have to play that supportive role, right? Because it's not just a give type of relationship, right? So how do you step into having to, you know, so for example, when you are two individuals that are, you know, probably, what's the word, two very ambitious individuals, right? And, you know, it's now your partner's turn to pursue whatever goals they have. So how do you reconcile that within yourself to say, okay, now I'm gonna take a step back and let her thrive? So yeah, I think I'll have thought of anyway, but Jessy, just to throw it to you first.
Deep questions, huh?
Yeah.
They literally just, like, they flew over my head. That's how deep they. Okay, so, I think before even addressing Kofi's, you know, questions, I think from my side, I'll just give you the quick, basic my advice to someone who is on the fence and thinking of deciding. I think from my experience, it's just understanding that you can get into this thing when you don't have everything figured out. So I think understanding that the journey itself is just one step. And if you just use two things just to guide you, which is one, being vulnerable, and being authentic, the journey has so much riches to show you, you know? Yeah, so I think that from my side is, I think, what I can give to people who are on the fence, because that's what has helped me, you know? And I think you're allowed to question, you're allowed to be in doubt.
Yeah.
Jessy, this thing about vulnerable, I want to add to that. Yeah, I think we as men get taught that you must be strong, you must be perfect. And I think it's actually probably one of the biggest challenges in marriage is that you have to open up, right?
Yeah.
And that's hard. Like, to my friends, I'm like a really sensitive guy, really open. But like with my wife, there was like a huge problem, you know? Like, I didn't tell her about my day. I didn't tell her about my problems, my big problems. So I would say, like, I guess my advice is to be ready for marriage. For me, ducks in a row. One thing is like the financial stuff you want, whatever, that's cool, up to you. But for me, the ducks in a row, unfortunately, is more the personal, internal, which I would like to add. No one ever has their ducks in a row, right? Like, today you find, tomorrow you find out that actually you have problems because when you were young, this happened or that. And you keep changing and rediscovering new traumas and new problems as you go through life. And I think that being able to accept that being married means that you are gonna get challenged for all your flaws, all of them. There's no, like, everything that you ever, it's gonna come out. You can't control it. And I think accepting that, you can be weak, you can be vulnerable, and it is gonna hurt at times, but it's how you grow, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. If people expect marriage to be like movies and it's all nice and there's only 10 minutes of some fight that gets solved by you playing some song, or you know what I mean? Like, no, it's like ongoing fighting and ongoing resolving and growing and love and happiness. It's always. And that the last thing to that is, it's not a static thing, just like life, When you get married, that's my life how it is. That person is gonna change, you're gonna change, different things will happen, you know what I mean? Like Vumile is now expecting a child. That's gonna change their relationship. So I think it's to know that things change. So you just gotta be open and also trust that the person that you're marrying will also be open with you. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. For myself, quick advice. I don't know if it's going to be quick, but we are running out of time. Jessy said it's a journey. Fabio said life is not static. And from both of them, what I do appreciate is they talk about being vulnerable and everything, which is true. I think what's most important, you just need to communicate between the two of you. What might work for Jessy, Kofi, or Sonia's relationship, or Fabio might not work for us. So you need to be very open with that. And guys, living in these times, I'm sure you guys know COVID, deaths and everything, but just death. Life is a journey, it will end. Do the best that you can, love your person, and one day this journey will end, and you don't want to be there having regrets as to you should have or could have done more. And then to Kofi's question about when one of you wants to progress and do great stuff, supporting the person in everything. Communication is key. My wife wanted to go study overseas, and I told her before we're married that, listen, you can go do everything, but I will be honest with you, this will not work. And that was just being honest, not spiteful, not giving an ultimatum or anything. I was just being real with myself, real with the situation, and communication and understanding each other. It's key, I think. Yeah.
Yes. Sure, guys. I could keep talking forever. I actually had more questions, but time has run out. Thank you so much. This has been so healing for me as well, and I'm sure for our viewers. I appreciate your authenticity, your honesty, and I think we need more platforms like this for guys, even for us as women, just to hear these thoughts that you have. Like, a lot of things I didn't realize that's how guys process things. So thank you so much for taking your time. To those of you who are watching this, thank you for joining us. Remember to leave your questions below, your comments, what you really resonated with, maybe what you didn't quite agree with. We're here to learn, we're here to grow together. So please do the right thing. And remember, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and share and like all the good things. So until next time, take care. Cheers.
Gender roles. Basically, they were almost defining what the male does versus what a female does. And every time they named everything that a male is doing in a relationship, I would look at Steffi, and Steffi would look at me, and she would know, like, that's me.